Hi guys, it's MarthaMew here, and I know I'm a little bit late with Fairy Rise cards, but if you'd like to hear my opinion on all the cards, stick around. So, as usual, PokeBeach are amazing, and they have posted all of the translations for the cards in Fairy Rise. I'm not really sure when we'll get these for the UK/English in general. But I imagine it would be set 8 for us, so the one after Celestial Storm, which did get its name revealed, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. It's something to do with electric and stuff, because it's also got Zero Aura in it. But anyway, so we have a Tangler and a Tangrowth. We'll basically just look at the final evolutions of most of these, unless there's a specific sort of run through scheme of what's happening. Okay, so we've got this Tangrowth that's got a 1 grass, 2 colours energy, does 30 damage, and if it was healed during the turn, it does 130 more damage. Interesting. So you can do 160 with 3 energy, and its second one is Whip Smash for 110. I will actually go through all these three because we all know how annoying stage 2s are to get out in the first place. That's kind of the big downside of stage 2s, that are so annoying because you have to evolve them twice, and by that time, yeah, it's not good. But in any case, so Trico helps with that, because find a friend, searches your deck for a grass Pokemon, reveals it and put it into your hand. So you could either find another Trico to start getting more of them, or you could just find Grovyle. And Grovyle also says, with an ability called Sunshine Grace, that once during your turn, you can search your deck for a grass Pokemon, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So if you were to have put this Grovyle down the previous turn, you can use Sunshine Grace to find the Sceptile and evolve it in the same turn. So it kind of can quicken it up ever so slightly. I mean, it guarantees that you get there. So depending on what you've already got on your bench, you can either find another Grovyle to evolve another Trico into, and then use both Grovyle's things in the next turn to get 2 Sceptiles out, etc, etc, that kind of thing. So they do all help with each other. And then finally, Sceptile, for 1 grass energy, does Max Cut, and it's 60 damage, and you just got a special energy from your opponent's active Pokemon, which is big. A lot of, in fact, pretty much 100% of decks use special energy, more specifically double colourless energy. So doing that is exceptionally good. What is even better is Sceptile himself doesn't use special energy, because his second attack, also, praise the Lord, they've got second attacks, and not like just an ability and then A attack and a GX. It's amazing. That's what I like to see, Pokemon. That's what I like to see. Its second attack is 2 grass energy, does Leaf Cyclone for 130, and you can move a grass energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench. Well, you have to move a grass energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench. So, yeah, that's pretty good. If you can sort of set up 2 Sceptiles and keep switching them out, I guess, that might work as well, because then they basically move the grass energy that they need for each thing between them. And even if not, you can do 130 damage, and you've still got the 1 grass energy to use Mat Cut, and usually 190 damage is going to kill something, unless it's another stage 2 like Sceptile is, or a slightly more bulky, maybe stage 1, but a lot of the times people are using basics, with the only exception being obviously Zoroark, which has got 210 HP. But yeah, chuck a choice band on Sceptile, and that kind of sorts that out anyway. Okay, so then we have a Wurmple, a Silcoon, and a Beautifly. So let's have a look at Beautifly. Beautifly is 1 colourless energy for Skill Dive. It does 50 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Just take your pick. And for a grass energy, it does 30 damage, and if your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by the damage from this attack, you can prevent all effects of its attack, including damage done to this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn. Cool. Okay, so then we have a Nincada, very basic. It's evolved form Ninjask. I think we also have Shedinja later down the line as well. It's a psychic type ghost type rather than a grass. So this one has an ability called Shed Shell. When you play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during this turn, you may put the Shedinja from your discard pile onto your bench. So it sets up, sets up the Shedinja. So that's pretty good because I know what the Shedinja does, and that's actually pretty helpful to know. So you can basically get a 2-for-1 if you've discarded a Shedinja. Its attack is X does 40 plus damage. You can flip a coin if heads and it does 40 more. So it's not the strongest thing ever, but yeah. So then we have a Combi and a Vespiquen. So we have Queen Command, which does 120 damage, and if you don't have 5 grass Pokemon on your bench, it doesn't do anything. So if you don't have a full bench full of grass Pokemon specifically, then yeah. But it's pretty strong, doing 120 for one grass, but it is pretty hefty conditions to get that off. Anyway, so we have a Shaman with 70 HP. It's got an ability called Floral Heal. Once during your turn before you attack, you can heal 20 damage from your active grass Pokemon. So that would work with, what was it that said? Tangrowth, wasn't it? If it was healed during this turn, it does 130 more. Pretty good. Yeah, Shaman's not too bad just for its ability. It's only 20 damage, but if anyone wants to do a sort of out there deck with Tangrowth, that could work. So you have a new little Alolan Vulpix with Secret Shortcut. If you have any fairy Pokemon in play, it has no retreat cost. Okay, it's obviously just there to be evolved into. I would still prefer Beacon Alolan Vulpix personally, but the artwork is rather cute on this. If I can I get away with? Oh my gosh, look, she's pouncing into the snow. How cute is that? How cute is that? Yeah, so this is the Shedinja, and it is good because once during your turn before you attack, you can discard all cards attached to this Pokemon and attach it to one of your Pokemon that has as a Pokemon tool card. If the Pokemon this card is attached to is knocked out, your opponent takes one fewer prize card. So it effectively makes, if you put this onto a GX or EX Pokemon, then it's going to be basically just a one prize knockout, which is pretty good. I personally don't think it's worth running the Ninjask to get this out. I feel like you just, if you were going to do it, you just put the Nincada out and just evolve into this manually, and then just discard the Nincada when you use this ability. Okay, so then we have a new Sableye with 1 colourless energy fast hunt. If you go first, you can use this attack on your first turn. You can search your deck for 1 card and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Pretty cool. And Curse Drop, put 3 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. Cool. So we have a Giratina that's got an ability called Torn Door. Once during your turn before you attack, if this Pokemon is in your discard pile, you can play it onto your bench, then put 1 damage counter on 2 of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So there's a lot of damage counter moving in this set. I specifically love the Sigilyph that we're about to see. But this Giratina's attack is 2 psychic, 1 colourless, does 130 damage, and you put 4 damage counters on one of your own Pokemon. But Giratina doing that to you isn't so bad when you imagine doing a kind of weird deck with this Giratina, the Sigilyph I'm about to read out, and then if anybody remembers the Banette that we're getting in Celestial Storm, it allows you to move damage counters around the field, so it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I don't imagine you'd ever use Giratina's attack, but you could do. It does do 130 damage, so not too bad. Anyway, so Sigilyph, I feel like this is a diamond in this set. I really do. It's a psychic type, it's a fairy set. What? Anyway, mainly because of its ability. So its ability is Mirror Counter, which says, if this Pokemon is your active Pokemon and is damaged by an attack from one of your opponent's Pokemon GX or Pokemon EX, even if it's knocked out, put damage counters on the attacking Pokemon equal to the damage done to this Pokemon. So, oh, I see you've hit me for a big number. Well, right back at you. As long as it's a Pokemon GX or EX, and we all know that they are pretty big in the game. So, especially to get through 170 HP. The only thing that's really going to kill this that I can see people using is probably little baby Buzz or Hooper. I can't think of any other non-GX-EX Pokemon that are really used. Ooh, off the top of my head anyway, at the minute. So yeah, it's not too bad. On top of that, it's got a 1 Psychic, 2 Colourless attack called Sonic Wing that does 80 damage. It isn't affected by resistance, so it is affected by weakness, which is amazing because a lot of things are weak to Psychic, so it's awesome. So that can do 160 damage, which isn't bad. Hitting a Buzzwole, woohoo! And then also being able to like be like, oh, Buzzwole's hitting me for this amount, I'm gonna bounce it straight back. And not to mention, if you're moving damage counters around with the, I keep wanting to say Marshadow, but it's not Marshadow at all, it's Bennett, then you can even keep healing this off afterwards as well. So I feel like that's a really good Pokemon. So it's GX attack, sorry. It does Intercept GX. It does 60 times the number of energy attached to your opponent's active, which is a lot. You only need 2 energy on your opponent's active to do 120, so that's a lot. Anyway, so we have a Yamask and then Cofagrigus. The Cofagrigus is 1 Psychic, 1 Colour, Soul Juggling, does 10 plus damage. You can discard as many of your bench Pokemon as you like, and it does 30 more damage for each bench Pokemon you discarded in this way. Okay, moving on to the Litwick and Chandelure line. I like this line to go in with that deck I was just talking about because it further puts on damage counters. So Litwick's first attack is just put a damage counter on opponent's active, Lampent's is put 3 damage counters on your opponent's active, and then Chandelure finally just does 4 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like, and Pokebeat to just put and your enemies. I love some of their translations, sometimes they just have a bit of fun. This Chandelure artwork looks pretty nice. I'm gonna try and, ooh, can we see that? Is that in shot? Yeah, that Chandelure artwork though, ooh, I like that, that's nice. So yeah, it's just moving damage counters around and putting them everywhere, and spread damage is always cool. So then, to finish all that off, Spiral of Pain for 2 Psychic Energy, 20 damage times the number of damage counters on all of your opponent's Pokemon. So if you spam damage counters like nuts, then you only need 5 damage counters around the board to do 100 damage with this attack. Ow! That's a legitimate deck if you ask me. Using Sigilyph and Chandelure and that Giratina, definitely I see being a thing. At least like off the cuff, maybe not proper meta, I don't know. Anyway, so then we have a Meloetta, which has got Sing, just puts something to sleep, obviously. Miracle Harmony does flip a coin if your Pokemon, flip a coin for each of your Pokemon that have the Sing attack, and it does 10 more damage times the number of heads to each of your opponent's Pokemon. Okay. Okay, so then we get what should have been the star of the show, although I feel like she's slightly underwhelming. I guess not when you think about the items that you can get. Oh, excuse me, for fairy Pokemon. So Alolan Ninetales GX has 200 HP, obviously evolves from Alolan Vulpix. Has an ability called Mysterious Guidance. When you play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you can search your deck for up to 2 item cards, reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So the item cards you're going to be looking for are probably going to be stuff like any kind of Pokeball. Obviously not Pokeball itself, but like Ultra Ball, Nest Ball, or I think, are tool cards counted as items, or are they actually just tools? Good question. I think they're just tools, without actually seeing the card and text itself. It's a trainer, and then it's the type. So item would be Pokeball, Ultra Ball, etc., etc., that kind of stuff. So it's very helpful. I mean, people do use Timer Ball, so you can effectively set up quite a lot with that. 2 item cards as well. Oh, that's why they're not reprinting Puzzle of Time. Because that's an item card. Just straight up search your deck for 2 Puzzle of Times. That would be pretty broken. Yeah, because as soon as this set is not going to be around at the same time as the rotation that it's currently in. So yeah, Puzzle of Time is gone. And we have the attacks, of course. 1 fairy and 1 colourless attack does 70 damage, and it does 30 damage to one of your opponent's benched, which isn't bad for 2 energy at all. And then its GX attack is Sublimation GX. If your opponent's active Pokemon is an Ultra Beast, it's knocked out. Just straight up knock out an Ultra Beast. Boom. Sad times you can only do that once. Especially with how much Ultra Beasts are being used. But yeah, I don't think Alolan Ninetales is too bad. It's definitely not absolutely amazing. I love the artwork on this card. The full art, by the way, guys, it's absolutely stunning. Yeah, it's certainly interesting. So we have a Jigglypuff and a Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff doing Inflate for 30. During your opponent's next turn, it takes 30 less. And for 1 fairy, 2 colourless Decorated Slap does 70 damage. If this Pokemon has a Fairy Charm attached to it, it does 70 more. Hint hint, Fairy Charm is a Pokemon tool. So we have another little Ralts and a Curlier. Hint hint, since there's a Gardevoir in this set. So Ralts can actually beckon to support a card from your discard pile back into your hand, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's a shame it's an attack and not an ability, but okay. Nothing on the Curlier really worth mentioning. Then the Gardevoir. So for 1 fairy energy, search your deck for up to 3 cards and put them into your hand as your deck. Basically exactly the same as Sylveon's first attack, but on a stage 2. And then Sensitive Ray. This is sounding a lot like Sensitive Blade. That's because it is. For 1 fairy and 2 colourless energy though, rather than double colourless energy. Was it double colourless? No, I think it was just double colourless. Does 70 damage. If you play the supportive card from your hand during this turn, it does 90 more. Which, it does a lot more damage, obviously coming from stage 2. No, it was a Gallade before, so yeah, it would have still come from stage 2. 70 plus 90 is 160. Ow. That's painful. Painful. I like Gardevoir. It's only got 130 HP though. Okay. So we have a little Dodani, probably not worth talking about. A little Carbink, also probably not worth talking about. 30 damage, prevent all effects of attack, including damage on this Pokemon by attacks from Pokemon with abilities during next turn. So there's a little bit of lockout if you can keep attacking with that. Only for 30 damage though. So we have our first Prism Star, which is a Xerneas Prism Star. Does have 160 HP, which is pretty good. Obviously the usual Prism Star rules, you can only have 1 with the same name in your deck. The ability called Life Road, once during your turn, before you attack, when this Pokemon moves from your bench to become your active Pokemon, you may move any number of energy from your other Pokemon to this Pokemon. I just had a moment where I thought, does that mean you could go to discard energy to retreat, but then move it to this Pokemon? I don't think it does. I'm pretty sure you'd still have to pay the cost to retreat to make it retreat in the first place and then move energy. Anyway, so you're aiming to get 3 energy on it that way, I guess, to do Bright Horns, which does 160 damage, and you can't use Bright Horns during your next turn. So I guess if you had enough energy and ways to switch out, which she's only got 2 retreat costs, so not too bad, ways to switch out without paying the retreat cost, then you could just keep switching Xerneas Prism. Well, no, you couldn't keep switching Xerneas Prism Stars around because you could only have 1 in your deck. I wonder what that would work with. I'm not sure. Put your answers in the comments. What could you use that Xerneas with? Anyway, so this Cutie Fly and then Ribombee. The Ribombee has an ability called Mystic Buzz, and as long as this Pokemon is on your bench, whenever your opponent plays a supporter card from their hand, prevent all effects of that card done to your fairy Pokemon at play. So it's not just stopping supporter cards from it, it's stopping supporter cards from every fairy Pokemon you have. So the only support card I could really think of that gets used is Guzma. So it stops Guzma, full stop, on any fairy Pokemon you have in play. The other ones I could come up with but aren't used are Plumeria, things that will be in rotation when this comes out. Probably just Plumeria. Yeah, I think so. I don't think it would work with Professor Kukui because it's affecting the opponent's Pokemon to do 20 more damage, but then again I guess that effect is affecting you, so I'd feel like it wouldn't work. I feel like you'd still take the extra 20 damage because it's affecting the opponent's card. Anyway, I don't know. But in either case, Guzma is the main target for the reason you'd run that. And then we have a Molon and a Shiinotic, which has an ability called Effect Spore. If this Pokemon is your active and is damaged by an opponent's attack, even if it's knocked out, the attacking Pokemon is now asleep. Okay. 2 Fairy Energy does 3 in touch for 50 damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon is asleep, your opponent shuffles all energy attached to their active Pokemon into their deck. That's annoying, but sadly you can do 100 damage pretty quickly to knock this out. So we have a new GX Pokemon here in Mimikyu GX. It has 1 Fairy Energy attack called Perplex and just puts the opponent's active to Confused. Its second attack is 1 Fairy, 1 Colourless, Cascading Barrage. Does 10 damage plus. It does 30 more damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. So that could kind of work with all that shenanigans going on with Sigilyph and that lot, I guess. It's pretty cool. So its GX attack is 1 for 1 Fairy Energy. You Dream Fear GX. Shuffle one of your opponent's bench Pokemon and all cards attached to it back into their deck. Cool, that's fun. Tapu Hee. We all know this is Tapu Lele, guys. Tapu Lele with 110 HP. Basic, normal, non-GX Pokemon. It's got an ability though, another Tapu Lele with an ability called Charm. Once during your turn before you attack, you can attach a Fairy Charm to this Pokemon. When you attach a Fairy Charm to this Pokemon, you may leave your opponent's active Pokemon confused. Status conditions. Horrible. In an ability as well, that's horrible. And its attack for 1 Fairy, 2 Colourless does 70 damage. I don't know. Tapu Pee. It's Tapu Fini, guys. Tapu Fini. It's got 120 HP and 2 attacks. So its first attack is 1 Fairy, 1 Colourless. Dream away. Flip a coin if heads. Your opponent shuffles their active Pokemon and all cards attached to it into their deck. Ow! It doesn't say that your opponent. It doesn't say that it won't work if your opponent only has that active Pokemon. So you win the game if they only have that one active and you use that attack. Which to me feels like it's worth putting in, especially because its second attack for 2 Fairy and 1 Colourless, a little bit awkward to match that instead of it being 1 Fairy, 2 Colourless. But anyway, Wonder Shine does 100 damage and confuses the opponent's active. So especially given that it's got a fairly decent other attack as well, yeah, that's pretty good. So we have another one of these Kecleon. I'm going to actually read the card to see what it's Fighting, Darkness and Fairy. That's what those mean. Fighting, Darkness and Fairy and becomes those types. Does 60 damage. Okay, so then we go on to the trainer cards. So those item cards that we would be finding with the Alola Ninetales would be either this Netball, which searches your deck for a basic grass Pokemon or a grass energy, reveals it and puts it into your hand, then shuffle your deck, further helping with that Sceptile. Pretty good. I really quite like that netball. Obviously only for grass Pokemon, grass decks, but that's still pretty good. Adventuring Satchel. You can search your deck for up to 2 Pokemon tool cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, or shuffle your deck. So just straight up search for, I found this would be really good in Silvally decks, so you can find the right memory to hit for super effective. It also works really good for, I guess, expanded with Garbotoxin. It also works really good for fairy decks in these days, because as you can see at the bottom of my screen there, it's Fairy Charm, which will do different things with those. Yeah, and obviously the next card as well, which is Spell Tag, which isn't, yeah, so the tool cards are items as well then, so you can find tool cards. Okay, so yeah, so pretty good. So this Spell Tag is probably another really good card for that deck I was talking about earlier with the damage moving, also really cool. So it's a tool card, and if the psychic Pokemon this card is attached to is knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, put 4 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. Haha. Haha. I like it. Anyway, so we have a couple of fairy charms here, and they all do basically the same thing but for different typings. So they let the fairy Pokemon that it's attached to, so prevent all damage done to the fairy Pokemon this is the card is attached to by the attacks of your opponent's psychic Pokemon in this case, or fighting Pokemon in the next case, or dragon Pokemon in the next case. So you can either stop psychic, fighting, or dragon hitting you. To be honest, I feel like this would be most useful with the fighting, considering how much Buzzwole is used. But yeah, I can see psychic being used as well. All damage, completely all damage. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, so then we have a supporter card called Morty. You can only play this card if one of your psychic Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn. Okay, your opponent can reveal their hand, and you choose 2 cards you find there, and your opponent shuffles them back into their deck. That's pretty strong. It's pretty strong. That's a big disruption. Only if one of your psychic Pokemon was knocked out during your last turn. Maybe like a 1 or 2 of, maybe. Then we have Mina. Search your deck for a fairy energy and attach it to one of your Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. So it's fairy acceleration, which is always pretty good. It's sadly only 1 fairy energy. I guess it's pretty strong putting it straight onto a Pokemon and allowing you basically attach 2 for turn. And because God of War GX is still a thing and will be for quite a while, it can mean you can attach so many energy in a turn. If you've got like only 1 God of War set up, you can attach 3 energy for a turn. That's 1 for turn, 1 using this Mina, and then obviously 1 using God of War's ability Secret Spring, which lets you attach another fairy energy from hand. So 3 energy in 1 turn, especially in a God of War deck, is going to be devastating, because that's just straight up 90 damage right there without you having, that's 1 turn. Presuming you haven't put any energy on that God of War before then. Okay, so next we have the last card in the set, which is a Life Forest Prism Star card, so we get another Stadium Prism Star, which is pretty cool. Once during each player's turn, that player may heal 60 damage and remove all special conditions from one of their grass Pokemon. So pretty damn good. 60 damage is a lot, and this card can only be discarded when the opponent plays a different Stadium card, I'm pretty sure, or an attack gets rid of it, because as long as a Stadium card is in play, whenever a player uses an item or support a card from their hand, prevent all effects of those cards onto the Stadium. So you can't Field Blower it, and you can't, for instance, Bonnie it away. I'm pretty sure you can still use the supporter card, because does Bonnie require it to be gone, or can you still target it and use Bonnie? I'm not actually sure. That's an interesting point of view. I have a feeling you wouldn't be able to use Bonnie in that case because it has to actually discard it. That's probably what the ruling would be, but I couldn't say for absolutely sure. But yeah, the opponent basically has to place another stadium card to get rid of this stadium card. Yeah, discard this card if another stadium card comes in play. Okay, cool. So yeah, thank you guys ever so much for sticking with me. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, I would love for you just to put in the comments, say Mew is the best or something, just so I know you've made it this far. Thank you guys for watching, and I think the next videos will be Celestial Storm openings, so I will see you guys for that. Bye bye!